daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott, and as always today joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Zach Ingo Finch. How you doing, mate? You alright?
I mean, I've calmed down a bit since we last recorded.
Mate, that's always good.
or should I, to be fair, mate, I think both of us are a bit fiery in our responses to one another yesterday.
Mate, it's fine. It's the passion and energy that drives us to do this every day. That's it's going to boil over at some point. Speaking of passion and energy, mate, let's get ourselves excited for a game that's being touted as Liverpool C versus Saints B. Right? That's what we're previewing today.
Oh, you're right. What is the point of the Carabao Cup? That's another question in another podcast, to be honest. But I guess it's to play players such as Joe Aribo, Sammy Edozie.
Yeah. All right, look, let's start at the start. I don't think we've actively talked about it on the show, but what do you make of the way they do the draw for this round of the Carabao Cup? Separating all of the European teams and, removing their opportunity to play each other.
Dumb, isn't it? It's that, in my opinion, is just a way of that the person that's going to win. I don't think they care about it that much, and I think it shows. Is where I'm at.
Yeah,
and I think that I think anything that removes the fairness of any of these sort of competitions, in my opinion, is a bit rubbish.
But it's kind of good news for us, though, right? Because I hesitate to call it a free hit, but also it's kind of a free hit, right?
Well, that's what they are. They said in. I think the point I have is if it's just become a free hit every time. Was this the 30th time we've played Liverpool in the last couple of years? I remember we were in the Championship. We had the same fixture with Russell Martin versus Liverpool.
I genuinely had to rewind the press conference when I was watching it because I thought I heard Will Steele describe it as a write-off, which I thought was insanity. But it turns out what he actually said was it was a one-off. But actually, I kind of with what I heard the first time, it was clearly in my brain because it doesn't matter, right? Do we care about beating Liverpool? No. Will it be good if we do? Sure.
Yeah, then explain to me at this point what the point of these cup runs are. If you're always going to have smaller teams come up against massive teams that then at some point are going to fight out last minute. Do you know what I mean?
We might get another down at Wembley, mate.
Yeah,
I hope. Let's face it. I hope Grimsby go on to win it. That's
kind of where I'm at. That is a story, a good story, right? But for us, it's oh great, we've pulled Liverpool for the 30,000th time in what feels like the last couple of years. We've played them so many times, and yes, okay, it's a free hit, and yes, we're expecting to lose, and yes, they're probably going to put out their seaside, but also they might use it as an example. They might use it as an opportunity to build fitness free sack or something like that. You don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, let's not beat around the bush that they're, reserve side or whoever's going to sort of start playing. We're talking about players like maybe Chiesa, who's kind of a world-class talent. Isak probably gets a game to get his minutes up. Wirtz, right, probably gets in there.
Then you've got the disparity of the leagues, right? And how is it that their C team is so much better than our team? And I've spoken to you briefly off air about it as well. It's one of those things where part of I think the frustration with being a Southampton fan at the moment is that Will Steele summed it quite well in his conference, talking about how Ipswich have had a similar start. And they've had the same manager. They've kept a vast majority of the same players. It's not the same. And I think there is just we have higher expectations because of where we've been. And I think that in very recent memory, we think that we were 8th and then we stayed up. And then we, early COVID, which only feels like 5 minutes ago, was when Hassan Hüttl was probably had his best run of games. So, like, we have an expectation we should be up there. And the reality of the boots on the ground situation, whether you want to blame Sports Republic, I would personally blame Gao, to be perfectly honest, and multitude of other reasons.
It's
We're
not just that, though.
in that position anymore.
It's trigger points as well, right? Like, I saw it described on one of the other podcasts as, in the last 18 months, we've lost in every possible way you can imagine losing a game. And so to watch it happen is like a trigger reflex back to that, like, well, here we go again. Like, because
the problem is,
but...
like, does Will still listen to all of the podcasts? Like, I find it baffling that he would ever listen or take advice from me and you. Like, we're just two blokes that chat football every day. But, like, as I pointed out yesterday, at best, I'm tactically inept. Like, I'm aware of that fact. I'm not trying to...
a 4-4-2.
Two central midfielders, a left midfielder, a right midfielder, two strikers.
We've talked about the profiles of strikers, and you've played two of those different profiles together. Oh, well, it's just transporting me back in time, Zach. This is just play tall Paul and Cameron Archer together all over again. Oh,
but
what are we doing?
You're getting carried away from that, but, like, the reason that I say that is that it is evident to him, it is evident to us, it's evident to all the other people that do podcasts on Southampton, all the other people that pay attention, that, like, trying to undo the trauma is really difficult. And it turns out even bringing in, like, 50% new faces is still, like, if you've got players on the field, like, unless we replace the entire starting 11, and even then, you would still have, well, how the heck does a starting 11 that don't know how to play together play together?
I know that it's like 50% new faces, but when you think about, like, the core spine of the team, Harwood Bellis and Stevens, we've talked about, those were two of the three that conceded all of the goals in the last two seasons. And, like, Bazunu wasn't in the team, but was, amongst it. He was in the dressing room coming back from injury. And so, the sort of same effect applies. And Flynn Downs as well. Also, like, struggling this battle with illness that seems to be sort of keeping him from his best as well, is clearly not helping. But, like, that's... And then, Archer and Armstrong. I know Armstrong went off on loan, but, I mean, if anything, that's almost as bad, right?
Well, made it worse because he didn't score a lot for the Baggies either, and played in not exactly. So like, so how do you undo that? And part of me, as I pointed out yesterday, when I said, how do you fix it? And it's like, oh, well, maybe we do need to change the personnel. But the problem is that upsets the dressing room dynamic. We already look back to when Font, who was captain at the time, didn't get to play in the Europa League and how much of an effect that had on the back room, the dressing room and everything, and Puel and this, that and the other. So what do? Do you tell Stevens and Taylor Harwood-Bellis that people think are our best players? And obviously, if they train really well in the week, they're clearly being picked on a merit somewhere. But then it's those split-second moments they're talking about where things are going wrong. And, arguably, a lot of what Will still said in his cross-post conference today, once again, was very similar to all the logical points that you made. The 3 goals conceded are 3 split-second moments. They're not the worst things in the world. And actually, we got the ball in far more than we used to, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, like, how do you undo this mental damage that is causing these split-second decisions to go from... It feels almost like you're driving, right, and you have a little bit of a moment. You're like, oh, near miss. It's like, well, I may as well just crash the car anyway. That's genuinely... like, it's like, well, it's already started.
Look, to bring it back full circle, do you know what might Polifix over the cracks? Beating Liverpool at Anfield.
I just don't see it, mate. I'm really sorry, but I'd love to hear you convince me otherwise in the next part of this podcast.
I'm sure that will come, but before we do that, let's do our best to draw names from a hat to pick what's going to be presumably a rather rotated side. We had the presser, but the team news that came out of it was entirely, well, we've got a big squad, so, who knows? But we'll do our best to try and guess. But first, a message from our partners at Bioniq.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body.
Okay, and we are back. So let's do it. Let's, as always, Zach, start at the back and work our way forwards. McCarthy in goal, I would think.
Yeah,
that seems to have been the way in this competition so far.
That seems to be the way of the Carabao Cup, right? So I guess
I saw an outrageous shout from someone that Long might start in goal, which I just discredited a huge amount of opinion for me at that point. But
I don't really see that being the case unless McCarthy is injured. That is the only way I would see that really really playing out, right?
Yeah, Macca in goal, and then I don't know what we're thinking at the back. Are we switching up completely? Are we leaving one in? If we're leaving one in, who are we leaving in? I feel like fullbacks. It's a good opportunity to get Jella some minutes, right? I don't know. I can't even remember the other fullbacks we've got if we're rotating.
I think that's the problem. Is that's kind of it, right? The fullbacks are Gillette, Rorislev, Manning, and Ryan Fraser. Wellington's out injured long term, so until Wellington's back, I would be surprised if Fraser ends up going it right, like on the right again. To be honest,
maybe yeah.
He's played everywhere so far this season. It's not been exactly bad. So
I don't know. I feel like maybe rotate Manning out and give Rorislev more of a chance to sort of settle and show his worth. Put Rorislev and Gillette in. I would like to see a central defensive pairing of Nathan Wood and Ronnie Edwards.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think I'd be acceptable with that. Like, I think Kwasi is going to have to get a go at some point. Do we go 5 at the back? Because I feel like would he switch the because he's talked about how he switched the system up. Is it going to be okay? Well, it's not working, so switch it back, or is it going to be okay? We're just going to persist through it and try with different personnel. What do you reckon there? Because I wouldn't be surprised if we're up against Liverpool.
If I'm taking a read on Will Still as a person, I feel like he would take it as a step backwards to revert. Now, I think that doesn't mean he won't change things. I just don't know if it would be that.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because obviously one of the things that we are supposedly so excited about is the fact that he's willing to change things when they're different. And I think that if a 4 at the back isn't necessarily working because of the defense leaking as it is, 5 at the back with the new signings we have and see. But I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, if we're going 5 at the back, if we're going with the sort of 3 centre backs, would you fully rotate and have it as Kwasi, Wood, and Edwards, or would you leave one of Stevens or THB in?
No, I'd fully rotate. Give them a week off, and then if they end up having a 9-0 defeat, then it turns out we are actually playing our best defenders, and our best defenders just aren't very good.
I guess also it gives any one of those 3 the opportunity to step up and have a game that makes the decision easier for the weekend, right? Like I can comfortably see Nathan Wood stepping up and doing that, and then it, no one's going to bat an eyelid at a partnership of Jack Stevens and Nathan Wood if we go into that in the Borough game. But what about through the middle? I mean, Shea Charles has been a constant. Is he the name that stays on the sheet, or do we see someone else come into that role?
I see him staying, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah.
I just think he's too much. I don't think that he's struggling for fitness and needs much of a break by the looks of how he's played so far this season. And obviously give Yander a couple more minutes as well and see if they develop the kind of relationship we want. Obviously, it didn't really play out that way in the last game, but as you pointed out, free hit, innit, really?
Yeah, and then, I don't know, are we sticking with this sort of 4-2-1-3 kind of shape, or 4-2-3-1 kind of shape, or are we? You end up mixing it up and going a bit more slightly traditional, like a 4-4. I would love to see a 4-4-2 with either Downs or Stewart and either Archer or Armstrong playing off each other.
I just don't see it
and
happening.
Then you just drop Jay Robinson on one side and literally anyone, Tom Fellows, Ryan Fraser on the other side. I think that leads to one of our more lethal sort of looking lineups.
Do we not see a Dozy or a Rebo coming back in at all for this game?
Because you're right, I could definitely see a Rebo stepping into that middle.
Because this is like a time to try and reintegrate, right? Because unless they're sitting out for the entirety of I don't think they'd be in training if they were planning to be shipped out in January straight away. So,
that'd be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised to see both of those involved.
Two of the ones which probably is one of the reasons that instead of it being a ridiculously massive squad, it's just a massive squad. Because I think if those two managed to move on, it would still be a large squad, but it wouldn't be quite the bloat that I think Will still is complaining about. But we're talking about having something different. They're both there and they're both available. They both featured in preseason, and gives us a slightly different option.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I wouldn't hate seeing a Dozy thrown into that mix. I think that there's there's a world where all of the things we've said happen, and we go to a 4-4-2, and Aribo steps in for Shea Charles. We have like a middle four of a Dozy on the left, Fellows on the right, or Robinson, either or. Yander and Aribo through the middle. And then, Stewart or Downs, probably Stewart, I would imagine, starting.
But judging from the press conference and what he said, it also feels like he's going to persist with Azaz, because I think that, he's noticed that that's where some of the criticism has come in. And it said that he just needs more time to gel. And the way that we do that is by playing him. And I feel like you don't make that statement and then drop him.
I don't know if this,
or is it not that deep?
I don't know if having him sit out this game really counts as dropping, is where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's because it's going to be rotated anyway, and you're right. He probably will be involved in some sort of capacity because of that, but I don't think that. I think it really is a free hit, and I think that I'd be very surprised if it's not 9 or 10 changes. Basically, is where I'm at. Because even from the other side, in his press conference, Slot's come out and said that he's not going to play any of his actual players. So it's kind of like an impossible game to prepare for, right? Is it more important to throw the kitchen sink at Liverpool, or is it more important to actually set foot in the league, get a decisive game against what's on form is going to be a very difficult game at the weekend? Whereas is it more important if you give all of the fringe players a go out against Liverpool and they don't embarrass themselves? That in itself is a win, right? Are we going to be miserable if we come on tomorrow to talk about this game and we've lost 3-0 but had 20 shots? No, it's such a hard game to mentally prepare for. But also because of that, because you're going to be sticking those players that have something to fight for out, there's also the possibility that that's not really the case for Liverpool, and maybe their players aren't as interested in walking over Southampton again. And I mean, it would be very Saints to win a game that nobody cares about, wouldn't it? Let's be honest.
We've talked about this before, and then lose to Middlesbrough 3-0, and everyone will be upset about it. That's the problem. But I think the fact that the whole no one cares about it really as a through line says a lot. Again, I think that's more of a conversation for not this game. But it bothers me that we're okay, well, why are we wasting time having competitions then that apparently nobody cares about? It's frustrating.
It's a really tricky one as well, because as much as because we pay so much attention to the club and a feeling so it would be entirely unsurprising if it was fully rotated. But also, what you have to take into account is that it's on ITV. Like this is like big eyes on football moment. So actually, knowing that Liverpool are playing a weakened team, if we want to play a full strength team because we think we can go out and beat their weakened team, that's a very publicly visible opportunity to do that, right?
Yeah, I'll get that.
So I don't know. It's a really tough one. It's a really tough one to try and gauge, but it'll be really interesting.
So the outcome of our team predictions, everyone, if you didn't catch that, is it could be any of them, really.
Yeah. Well, it's like the press conference, isn't it? We've got a really big squad, so
Great, perfect. Thanks for narrowing that down. You going to tell us who's ill? No, okay, perfect. Guess anyone. Maybe Wellington comes out of a boot on, mate. Who knows?
Right, mate. Well, look, you think that was difficult. Next up, we are going to predict what the score's going to be and try and go from there. But first, a break and a message from our partners at Zencastr. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. All right, mate. As is tradition now on the show, I'm going to throw you under the bus first and hear what you have to say before I make my mind up.
You're not going to be happy. You're not going to be pleased with what I predict. 2-0 Liverpool. That is my best case scenario. Is that we lose by 2 goals, we make a good count of ourselves, we exit the cup competition, no one really cares, we've put in an all right, better performance than we did the other week, maybe 1 or 2 players stake their claim, we get on with our life. 2-0 Liverpool. I told you we'd be happy. This is the problem. You put me first.
The really upsetting part is that, like, you're not wrong. Right? I can't put myself in a position to go into a game feeling like that. It's a tough one. 2-0. Who do you think scores the goal for Liverpool? 2 goals.
Who's the 16-year-old lad? Let's have him get a brace.
It could be either Isak or Wirtz or both. First Liverpool goal.
Of course, like first 2 goals for Liverpool for Isak would be against us, wouldn't they? Because that is just. But then also, flip side, as you said, Slot basically came out and went, it's probably going to be none of the players you know. So it might be somebody we've never heard of before scoring his first 2 goals against us at 17, come out the academy, and then everyone will think he's the new hot prospect, and then in 3 years' time will be sold for Fulham or something.
All right, mate. Well,
sorry, mate. I know you probably really hoped for a slightly more optimistic answer.
What a downer you've put on the whole episode, mate.
You'll bounce back. We'll bounce back, maybe.
Right. Look, I don't know if my head really believes what I'm about to say, but I feel like
it's never stopped you before.
I feel like 1-0 Saints in the 97th minute somehow. Like, it won't even be like an on-purpose goal. Like Bazunu or McCarthy will miss-kick it out and like the wind will take it or something stupid like that. Just like, it feels like it has the potential to be a really flat game. You know, historically, we've not really played our best football on ITV. So...
What do you mean? That was a great 0-0 game the other day that we watched, right?
I feel like we can... I feel like we could somehow nick it just slightly on... I just feel like we'll be slightly more up for it. I hope we are.
I feel like we'd be slightly more up for it. You thought we'd be slightly up for the South Coast derby, mate, but there we are.
That was nervy, but there's no reason to be nervous. This is a free hit, right? Like they were scared to make a mistake in the South Coast derby because of the importance of the game. This game isn't important at all. So
and still somehow we're going to be running through treacle. So I guess
I think that the thing that I focused in on the press conference that's really, I think, put me in this headspace is Will Steele's continued and repeated use of it's a cup game, so it's a one-off. So I've fully accepted that it's just going to be like 11 changes and we're just going to see the fringe players play. And it doesn't matter. Someone will have a great performance undoubtedly and, secure themselves a spot on Saturday. Someone will have an absolute stinker probably who you'd expect to step up and have a good game. It's just going to be an interesting one. But, I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be. It's one of those where we're not expected to win, so it doesn't really matter if we lose, which is always nice.
I think I'm starting to get to you, mate. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, look, on that almost note of positivity, it seems like a wonderful place to wrap up. Zach, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Let us know in the comments and on the socials what your score prediction is. And if you're travelling up to Liverpool, fair play if you are making that journey on a Tuesday night. Not for me. I did put the sales pitch onto the wife. Didn't go down very well.
Shocker.
Let us know the score predictions on all the socials. We are on Facebook, TikTok, X, YouTube, Blue Sky, Instagram, all of them. Let us know. We can't wait to hear from you. Whatever happens, we'll be back tomorrow to talk about it. That is for sure. Thank you very much again, everyone, for listening. We'll see you tomorrow and have a wonderful day. And come on, Saints.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.